Some feel that having a strong fragrance load is what they would deem a good candle, and some feel the total opposite. Hello, and welcome back to the Fireside Chat, where I share candle education to enhance your candle burning experience. Today, we're going to talk about the difference between a luxury candle and an inexpensive candle. One area that I wanted to talk about was in regards to fragrance and the fragrance load. We've had some of our clients, they prefer a stronger fragrance, so therefore they're wanting to have a load that is much stronger, of course. It could very well be a 10% fragrance load, 12% fragrance load. It really does vary when it comes to the consumer. Some feel that having a strong fragrance load is what they would deem a good candle, and some feel the total opposite. A clean, subtle fragrance that has less synthetics, that's important to them. And that's the direction that we chose when we work with our various fragrance houses. Our perfumers are aware that we want a beautiful fragrance, but we want to be mindful of it not being overpowering. One of the first points of interest to me was really being mindful of the type of wax that we used. I shared that in our story from the beginning. There were many types of wax when I first started, but predominantly the waxes were paraffin. Our wax today, I use a coconut soy blend. Some may wonder, well, what made you decide to go with the wax that was more sustainable, if you will? I know that there are many waxes that are used at various stores, and many don't even take that into consideration. But I truly wanted a wax that was not just loaded with paraffin. I really wanted a wax that was clean. And so therefore we chose, after we did a lot of research and testing, and we opted to choose a wax that was a coconut soy blend. And what we noticed with that wax, even when I showed you the sample on our previous fire chat, you notice how nicely it burns. You didn't see, once we burn the candle, there's wax all around the vessel. It burned very, very nice, and it also shows the quality of the wax. There are a couple of things we emphasized early on, and that was the importance of refill, repurpose, and reuse. The vessels were key. I wanted a vessel that one would want to keep. In fact, we worked closely with artisans here in the community, and one particular artist, we had him create hand-blown vessels for us. And that's a whole other story, but I'm just really amazed at the people who would bring that vessel back for us to reuse it. We talked a little bit about wax, and then there's also the craftsmanship when it comes to the wicks and how and I'll show you images of the behind the scene, how we typically will include the wicks and how we make sure that it's centered nicely. And then another thing is we were mindful when it came to packaging, sustainable packaging as well. I wanted the components of the packaging. I preferred that it is a sustainable company and that it was eco-friendly. The paper was repurposed paper. Just steps that we took to make sure. I've gotten gifts, and maybe you have as well, and it's loaded with all types of, it may be a beautiful gift, but you eventually discard the packaging. Packaging it's very important, because ultimately, where does it land? It ends up what? In our landfill. So therefore, being able to choose a packaging company who have taken the measures and taken the steps to make sure that paper has been reused, is sustainable, was important to me. On a final note, I want to thank you again for joining us here on the Fireside Chat. It's been a pleasure. I'd also encourage you to take a look at our website. And I also wanted to introduce you to, I think I mentioned it before, our newest collection, the Founders Collection. This particular fragrance is called Lane. Take a look at the site and introduce yourself to our collections and let us know what you think of them. And I will look forward to seeing you on the next Fireside Chat.